packet was interesting because for some reason, my PDF reader will not let me zoom in on it. So like it insisted on making the, setting the zoom such that it would fit the width of the big pages from like, I forget which of the plan sets it was, but yeah, I spent half an hour with my face very close to my screen.
You know, I had the same situation, probably for different reasons. It takes about half hour, 20 minutes to open up. And that's what I struggled with the last meeting as well. I started at about 10 minutes to 7, and this time I started at 6:35. It took 20 minutes just to get to that broad load. And then it's so teeny that, I mean, so it was not, I agree with you, it wasn't simple for me this time. I don't know why. I'm glad I started earlier today because last time I didn't get on until 10 after.
Tara, this is Madeline. We are now live.
Will Marco be joining us this evening?
Hi, good evening. No, Commissioner Dorado will not be joining us until June.
It is now 7 p.m. I think we have all commissioners on board. I think we can start, Chair.
All right, if you insist. Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the May 18th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. To all of you attending virtually, thank you for joining us. Please know that we want to hear from you. If you're in the audience who would like to address the Commission during public comment for an item on the agenda, there's two options. For those on Zoom, please use the raise your hand button, and when it's your turn, you will be unmuted and given 3 minutes to speak. If you're joining us by telephone, you may address the Commission by pressing *9. When it's your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and given 3 minutes to address the Commission. Please note, you may only speak once per agenda item. Okay, roll call, please.
Chair Biasotti.
Here.
Vice Chair Harmon.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Lethen.
Here.
Commissioner Madden.
Here.
Commissioner Morgan.
Here. Very good. Commissioner Johnson, would you be so kind as to lead us in the pledge?
Absolutely.
And Madeline, could we have the flag, please?
I'll sit so you don't have to look at my chest. I pledge allegiance to the flag. I'll start over. I pledge allegiance to the flag for the United States. Are you all joining me? I can't hear any of you.
Okay.
Okay. Kelly, are you coming on?
Yeah.
All right, I'll start over.
Okay.
Sorry for that. I was just trying to be mindful and wait for everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it
stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Good job.
So, item 1, approval of the minutes of April 20th, 2021. Anyone?
Yeah.
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay.
That's second.
Any comments on the minutes or anything before we move? No? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Chair Biasotti. Vice Chair Harmon.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Lethen.
Aye.
Commissioner Madden.
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan.
Aye.
Very good.
6-0. Motion passes.
Thank you. Let's see. Item 2, public comment for items not on the agenda. This is an opportunity for the folks at home to speak to the commission for items that are not on the agenda. Madeline, do we have anyone?
We do not, Chair.
We'll wait a few more seconds and then we'll move on. All right. Item 3, announcement of conflicts of interest. Do we have any? Commissioner Harmon.
I am conflicted on 510 Angus due to proximity.
Thank you. Anyone else? Kelly?
Yeah, I will be, due to friendship with the architect, I will be recusing myself from 4B.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chair, you're also conflict out of the last item, 4D.
Oh, yes. Commissioner Harmon, if you would take over at that point for me, please.
Certainly.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So we'll move on to public hearings. 4A. It's a request for an adoption for a resolution confirming the review of the 2020 to 2025 5-year capital improvement program and fiscal year 2021-22 capital improvement program budget and its conformance with the San Bruno General Plan. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Michael Smith, Planning Department staff. Before you is a request for review of the fiscal year 2021 to 2022 capital improvement budget for its conformance with the San Bruno General Plan pursuant to California Government Code Section 65401. This is an annual review of infrastructure-related projects from the city's budget. In accordance with California Code Section 65401, the Planning Commission must review CIP and make a finding that it is in conformance with the general plan prior to City Council adoption. The scope of the Planning Commission review is to evaluate the CIP projects for consistency with the goals, policies, and implementation measures outlined in the 8 elements of the city's general plan. The action is not to evaluate the technical aspects or the cost of the individual projects. The general plan is the city's long-term comprehensive vision for physical development. It includes 8 elements that provide the policy framework related to capital projects in the areas of land use and urban design, economic development, transportation, open space and recreation, environmental resources and conservation, health and safety, public facilities and services, and housing. The City Council will appropriate funding for projects that are planned for construction in fiscal 21-22. However, the CIP covers a 5-year planning period from 21-22 to fiscal year 25-26. The CIP functions as a planned work program for projects scheduled in subsequent years of the period. The CIP provides funding for capital projects that protect, preserve, and enhance the city's infrastructure, extend the useful life of public facilities, and improve or enhance city services. Next, I'm going to go over a brief summary of the fiscal year 21-22 infrastructure projects that are under consideration before you. The first is the Beckner Shelter Road and parking lot repaving. Beckner Shelter Road is located in Upper City Park and connects the parking lot near the existing pool to Beckner Shelter picnic area. The road and parking lot that are used to access the Beckner Shelter area have been deteriorating and are full of potholes. Several attempts have been made to fix these potholes over the years. However, they remain unsuccessful. Within the last few years, staff has been spreading gravel to minimize the potholes as a temporary solution. Deterioration of the road can no longer be modified to adequately provide a safe surface for walking and driving. Therefore, it is proposed for repavement. The next project on our list is the citywide wildfire mitigation. The city of San Bruno owns many large open spaces that are undeveloped, where such areas are in close proximity to residential structures. These areas pose a significant risk of a large, devastating fire to the nearby residential structures. The city of San Bruno directly borders federal, state, and county land that are in high fire severity zones. So the city has worked closely to address wildfire issues for years through public education, increased inspections, permitting, and staffing. The proposed citywide wildfire mitigation project aims to provide necessary funds to begin reducing fuel and to minimize wildfire impacts on properties and the occupants of properties should a wildfire occur. The next project on the list is Posey Park. As part of the Caltrain San Bruno grade separation project in late 2010, Posey Park was relocated and a new water feature was installed as part of the overall project, which you can see there on San Mateo Avenue. Shortly following completion of the grade separation project, several noticeable defects appeared in the water feature, and as a result of these defects, the fountain that has been inoperative for the past 4 to 5 years, and there have been various proposals that could be considered to revitalize this park and to either restore the fountain or to renovate the plaza and to repurpose the fountain into a landscape feature. The conversion of the water fountain to a landscape area would entail procuring landscape architect to perform the plaza design. And you guys might also remember that as part of our efforts in the San Mateo Avenue streetscape plan. The next project on the list is the citywide baseball field lighting and fencing upgrades. The field lights at Lara Field, Diamond 2 and Diamond 3, and Lions Field are outdated technology that uses metal halide bulbs and ballast. The bulbs are difficult to find and are very expensive as this technology is being phased out and everything is going to LED these days. So as the existing lights fail, the light levels drop below standard recreational play levels, and so it's not lighting the surface. The new LED technology provides a more uniform light levels for the user groups of the park. And replacing all field lights to LED would not only provide a uniform light at the field, but also decrease energy consumption by almost half. The next project is the Fire Station 51 facility improvements. Over the years, Station 51 has received limited facility improvements and is in dire need of many modern amenities, upgrades that are considered necessary for fire service delivery. By allocating sufficient CIP funds, necessary facility improvements for the fire department staff and Station 51 operation can be allowed to properly store, secure fire apparatus and equipment. This 5-year plan aims to address the following building systems, including roof replacement, HVAC, windows and window treatments, bathrooms, flooring throughout structure, garage bay ceiling, so it can be vaulted for apparatus repairs, drop repair on the building exterior, and admin office flooring and paint. The next project on the list is the other fire station, Fire Station 52. Similar to Fire Station 51, Fire Station 52 has limited building system upgrades and is also in dire need of many modern-day amenities that are considered necessary for fire service delivery. This CIP project aims to address these building systems over the next 5 years so that the city can provide key building system upgrades such as HVAC and ventilation, addition of a secondary plymo vent for apparatus exhaust, and paint inside and out, windows and window treatments, and plumbing for portable showers and restrooms. The next project on the list is the library facility improvements. Over the years, the San Bruno Public Library facility has received limited facility improvements and is in need of many modern-day building amenities. These critical building system upgrades have been identified in the city's 5-year plan to address these needs. The CIP project proposes to allocate funds to improve the library's infrastructure and to bring the building to modern-day standards over the course of 5 years. The CIP project will address the following items: roof replacement, flooring, building and energy efficiency, linden side windows and window coverings, and full interior paint. Next project is the Senior Center Facilities Improvement. The San Bruno Senior Center is used heavily on a daily basis for programs such as congregate lunch program, enrichment classes, social programs, educational workshops and seminars, and to give the senior residents volunteer opportunities. In addition, a door-to-door transportation service is offered by the Senior Center throughout the week. The center is visited by hundreds of patrons. It is also used for official city events, such as city council meetings, our planning commission meetings, nonprofit and private rentals. As with all buildings of this age, the Senior Center is in need of many facility improvements and upgrades to bring the building up to current ADA standards and replace deteriorated infrastructure. Proposed improvements include, but are not limited to, interior-exterior painting, roof maintenance and gutter repair, restroom refresh for ADA compliance, and flooring updates. The next one on our list, and I won't go too much detail to this, but it's the Senior Center parking lot, which needs to be repaved and restriped. And there's going to be, pothole repair and new bollards put in. The next one after that is the Transit Corridor Pedestrian Connection Project. This is the Transit Corridors project aims to improve pedestrian connectivity within the city's transit corridor area by enhancing the streets directly adjacent to downtown core of San Bruno. Previous phases included the installation of curb extensions, rapid rectangular flashing beacons, and landscape improvements within the plan area. Phase 4 of this project would enhance pedestrian connections to BART, Caltrain, and downtown by installing curb extensions and accessible curb ramps at the intersection of San Bruno Avenue and Green Avenue. And the next one is the downtown trash receptacles and newspaper rack enclosures. This is something that this group should be somewhat familiar. Some folks on this group are familiar with. This came to ARC a few months back. This is where the San Mateo Streetscape Plan made some recommendations for garbage cans and recycling cans along the avenue, and that is now coming to fruition. As they try to move forward with that project, which also includes new newspaper rack enclosures. The next project on our list is related to the new rack center, and this is for Oak and Crystal Springs road signalization. And this goes back to one of the mitigation measures that was in that project approval, which required the intersection of Oak and Crystal Springs to be signalized as recommended in the traffic impact analysis for the rack. Currently, the existing intersection has a four-way stop control. The proposed project will remove existing stop signs and replace with a signalized intersection. And then the last project on our list is the bicycle and pedestrian improvements associated in and around the Mills Park development, which you guys are also familiar with, which got approved last year. The developers of the Mills Park provided the city with $100,000 in funding to make bicycle and pedestrian improvements around the Mills Park development. The development project was approved by the City Council in July 2020. Proposed bicycle and pedestrian improvements include the installation of portions of bicycle routes on Linden and Elm Avenues, radar speed feedback signs, and a bus transit bench on the northwest corner of San Bruno Avenue and El Camino Real. It's a lot, but hopefully that gives you a sense of what's coming down the pipe as far as projects in the city. If you agree with staff's general plan analysis as outlined in the staff report, staff is asking you to make a motion and a second to adopt the attached Planning Commission resolution finding that the proposed capital improvement program budget for fiscal year 2021 to 2022 is in conformance with the city's general plan. This resolution, if approved, will be forwarded to City Council and taken into consideration as they evaluate the city's 2021 to 2022 budget. And a roll call vote is required. And then lastly, I wanted to say, because infrastructure projects are executed by Public Works, we do have Public Works staff available, I believe, tonight to answer any clarifying questions you might have that would be helpful in making your decision tonight for the consistency findings. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Michael. Do we have any questions for staff? Commissioner Harmon.
Yeah, so I have, I don't know how we want to organize this, whether we want to kind of go through the items or just kind of grab bag the questions. I have 2 questions in relation to San Bruno Cable, or CityNet Services as it's now known, and a couple in relation to Posey Park. I think in the packet, SB Cable showed up as item 1. I don't know if that got skipped over or if somehow I just didn't catch it being mentioned, the Channel 1 upgrade.
Yeah, no, the Channel 1 upgrade is number 1 in the staff report, and I did not go over it in the presentation.
Okay, which I think that's great. And I just do want to observe generally, like, I think overall these seem like sensible priorities. I appreciate all the work that's going into trying to, you know, take a limited capital budget and pick out the high priority things. I did want to ask in relation to SB Cable, I know fiber has been mooted a lot and they have pilot programs. Has a larger fiber rollout for the city through SB Cable, has that sort of dropped off the agenda for now, pending finding better funding sources? Because I know it is a very expensive project.
Well, I'm not familiar with the finer points of the upgrade, so I might hand that question over to Haywan Ritchie, our interim director of Public Works, if she might be able to answer that question.
Yeah, this is actually, good evening, planning commissioners. This is actually a CityNet project and not a Public Works. I don't have a lot, but I do want to just say on behalf of planning that I think sort of the direction that we're looking for, the action we're looking for, is general conformance of existing projects, that they're in conformance with the general plan, and not, I guess, the specifics, merits of the project. I do want to put that out there, but I really don't know anything about the CityNet rollout.
Yeah, I mean, if that's through a completely separate budget, since that's the separate operating unit, that's fine.
Yeah. Commissioner Harmon, did you have something else? You had a couple of things you wanted?
I guess the other question I had is on Posey Park. I mean, one of my questions was around, like, if there's defects with this water feature, did we have recourse to the people that installed it to fund work on it? But maybe that's not relevant to the scope of the conversation this evening. The other question I had, which I feel like it is relevant to sort of how it conforms with the general plan programs, I think all of us would like to see Posey Park used more. I live very close to there. I walk through that plaza frequently. Before the pandemic, I took the Caltrain from there. I bike through there all the time. And it's been a really dead space, which that does not seem like that conforms to, I think, any of our vision for how we would like to see the town operating. And I wonder, like, how are we making the capital investments in Posey Park conducive to it being, I guess term of art is an activated space? I mean, do we want, like, you know, some sort of food carts, or I don't even know. But it does seem like I'm concerned that, you know, we spend money renovating a fountain or something, and it's still a space where you have a pretty fountain and nobody goes there. They just kind of walk by it.
Mr. Chair, if I may, those are great questions, Vice Chair Harmon. Again, I think, as Haywan mentioned, that we're here really to make sure that the projects that are listed in the CIP budget conforms with the general plan. Those are probably great questions for City Council or other staff that's implementing the project to think further how the project should be implemented. And we really don't have the appropriate city staff to address those issues. So if possible, I would rather take those questions and defer them to the appropriate city departments.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, if there's a way to have it be noted, passed on to council for consideration. But I'm generally overall fine with the shape of it. Like, I do, as I said, I appreciate the work that's gone into it.
Through the
We'll
chair.
definitely pass it on.
Through the chair.
Mary Lou.
In response to Commissioner Harmon's, I know that at one point that the big discussion was the vandalism that was going on and why the fountain had to be turned down. And I know that this isn't the venue to discuss it, but I know that was one of the issues. And the other was parking. Parking is difficult in that area unless you go on the backside of Caltrans area. And that was being discussed at one point or another. So I don't know if that's still in the midst of discussion, but I defer it to when it comes before City Council to bring up some of these issues. Okay. And then the other thing that I have is really small, but is there any possibility, Michael, of adding the addresses to Station 51 and 52? It's on the let me see, scroll way back down here. Just adding addresses to those, or is that not necessary?
Are you speaking in regards to the staff report or the stations mentioned by name in the resolution?
In staff report is, probably,
okay.
when we're talking, it's so easy to go back and forth and maybe make a mistake between 51 and 52. And sometimes an address can do a bit of clarification. So in the staff report, I would
yeah, I mean,
it would be helpful.
Yeah, I'd be happy to make that, to add the addresses to the staff report. It's just, you would need to understand that the staff report has already been published, and so the part that will move forward to the to the city council is actually the resolution, should it be passed tonight.
Well,
we'll go ahead and add the addresses for onto the resolution, going on to part of budget preparation.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Is there anyone else with Commissioner Madden?
Yeah, I have some questions or concerns regarding the two fire stations. I'm not totally familiar with what they look like, but this is one of the ones that's on El Camino next to City Hall. I'm concerned that we're pouring money into buildings that are old, that likely are seismically deficient, severely seismically deficient. Do we know if these buildings have been retrofitted in the past?
Again, I hate to be sounding like a broken record. We really don't have that information available for Planning Commission tonight. And again, the mission or the intent for bringing this list of projects to Planning Commission is to make sure that the Planning Commission agrees with staff that these projects are part of the general plan conformance, that they will comply with the city's general plan. Whether or not staff, other department staff has done a thorough job, I'm sure they have, evaluating if this is the project that should be funded. This is the proposed budget that's going to City Council in June. Maybe City Council will have a different understanding, and maybe this will not be approved. So we really don't have that information to answer Commissioner Madden or Commissioner Johnson or Commissioner Harmon's question on the validity or the detail of each project. I hope that kind of makes sense to you.
No, it makes perfect sense. I guess I'm more stating these questions for the benefit of the City Council when it gets forwarded to them, that they should consider some things. My concern is that if we're pouring a significant amount of money into a building that has a fatal flaw in its seismic system, why are we doing that? So as long as my preference would be to correct the seismic deficiency prior to anything else, because what's the good if we put a new roof and HVAC and paint and then the building collapses and our firefighters can't do what they're supposed to when we need them the most? So that's the purpose of my questioning. It's just to make sure that the City Council considers that an approach of putting lipstick on a pig is not a good one for these type of facilities. Cosmetic fixes to buildings that could collapse because they're so old, probably built in the 50s or 60s, the one on the El Camino, is not a good use of city's funds, in my opinion. Correcting those flaws first would be a better use, if there are indeed flaws and it hasn't been corrected in the past. That's all I got.
Is there anyone else? Any further comments for staff?
Through the chair?
Yes, Kelly, please.
Just wanted to clarify, what is the resolution number for this resolution?
I'm not quite sure. Do you know, Pamela? I know I didn't look at the sequence. It would be just the next resolution in the sequence. Yeah.
Right. We would, so once the Planning Commission approves the project tonight, we will sequentially assign a number and finish that and then forward on to the City Council.
Okay. I'm prepared to make a motion on the resolution, but I'd also like to include the comments of the Commission in that recommendation. Is that something we can do?
We have to do public comment first, Kelly.
Okay, so whenever, but I'd like to know when the time comes if we can include our comments with that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Good. So Pamela, I understand the framework of where we're going tonight, but maybe moving forward we can ask City Council, how come there's not a single solar panel being included in any of these projects?
So we'll definitely take that note as well.
Yeah, please. Okay. If there are any more comments from the Commission, anyone? Okay. At this point, we'll open it up to public comment. For the folks at home on Zoom, raise your hand. And for those on the phone, please star 9. Madeline, do we have anyone?
We do have one speaker, Chair.
Please.
Alejandra, I am going to open the mic for you and allow you to speak. Can you hear us?
Hi, yes I can. I actually have a question about this is the first time that I'm here on the public hearing with the City Council. And I actually had a comment about a building that is in the process of trying to, trying to get built on East Angus, on East Angus and I think it's about 4th or 5th Avenue and Angus Avenue in San Bruno. So I don't know whether I can comment on it about it now or maybe later.
That seems like it would be more appropriate for the items not on the agenda period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I believe this might be item 4C, 510 Angus.
Yeah.
Okay. To the caller, why don't you hang with us a little bit, and if it's not the item that we're going to be speaking about here shortly, perhaps there's a section at the end of the meeting for items that are not on the agenda where you could speak once again.
Okay, yeah, that would be fine. But I also had a question. A lot of the people, I was born and raised here in San Bruno, and a lot of the people that live in in that area don't speak English. So why, the notices that were sent out, why were they sent out like in Spanish or any other language?
That's a great question, but once again, let's defer that to the section for public comment for things that are not on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay? We'll
sure.
Thank you for calling. We really do appreciate
sure.
it. So stay with us, and we'll get back to you on that. Madeline, did we have anyone else?
We do. Christina, I'm going to allow you to speak. Can you hear us?
Yes, I also had the same question that Alejandra had on 510 East Avenue, and I understand that you guys want us to wait until the very end. So I guess I'll wait to comment on that. But I do have concerns with that property becoming I think a boutique hotel. So I will wait towards the end as well.
Very good. So that item will come up, and you can speak during that item. Okay. Were there any others, Madeline?
No, they're not, Chair.
Okay. Can we get a motion in a second to close the public hearing part?
I motion to close public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion in a second. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Chair Biasotti?
Aye.
Vice Chair Harmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Leffen?
Aye.
Commissioner Madden?
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Is there any other further comment or discussion on this item from the Commission? Mary Lou?
I just want to comment, just for information for the two callers that were on, that there's also public comment for items on the agenda on item number 2. So I didn't want people to think that we leave everything till the end of an agenda, but it's also they have 2 opportunities. So I just wanted to make that note.
Okay, very good. Anyone else have a comment at this point? No? How about a motion on the resolution? Commissioner Harmon.
I will move that we adopt the resolution with the inclusion of the noted suggestions by the council.
And do we have a second?
1 second.
Okay, we've got 2 seconds. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Chair Biasotti. Vice Chair Harmon.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Lethen.
Aye.
Commissioner Madden.
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan.
Aye.
6-0, motion passes.
Thank you very much. All right, we have item 4B, 482 Garden.
And through the chair, I'm going to have to recuse Kelly.
Thank you.
Please bear with us. We're going to be doing this all night long, in and out and in.
No worries.
Bye, Commissioner Lethen.
All right. Pamela, are we okay to proceed? Okay, good. This is 482 Garden Avenue. It's a request for an architectural review permit and a use permit to allow the construction of a new home with a tandem off-street parking on an individual infill lot. Staff report, please. Brandon.
Good evening, Commissioners. Hope you're all doing well tonight. My name is Brandon. So we have tonight a request for a use permit to construct a new 2-story home on a vacant lot. This lot is located in the historic Heart District, and it was the site of a previous single-family home that burned down in 2018. So the new home is situated on a lot that is 2,905 square feet, which per the municipal code is considered a substandard lot. This site is located, as previously mentioned, in the Heart District, and the project includes the construction of a 1,710 square foot new home on this lot. The home would include also a 580 square foot ADU, which per state laws of 2020 must be reviewed ministerially and is not part of the use permit or this hearing. So just a reminder that this use permit focuses only on the single-family home of 1,710 square feet. Now that home does meet all applicable development standards for the R2 low-density residential zoning district. It does have setbacks of 4 feet because the San Bruno Municipal Code provides an exception for substandard lots to decrease their side yard setbacks to 10% of the width of the lot. So it has been allowed to decrease to 4 feet. In the rear, it has a 4 feet setback because of ADU state law, allowing ADUs to have a setback of 4 feet, but the main house on the part of the main house on the second floor does maintain the 10-foot residential setback. The applicant has proposed a tandem parking garage, 2 spaces, and per the code, whatever approving body is approving a project must also approve tandem parking for it to be used. The applicant has proposed all water-efficient landscaping planted in hydro zones, and the project meets all applicable San Bruno residential design guidelines, as well as all use permit and architectural review findings that are found in the staff report. There are a series of conditions of approval from different departments which can be found in the staff report as well. And I can answer any specific questions.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I could provide some supplemental information for the project. So we received some questions regarding the project. I just want to clarify for the group. So questions concerning about the parking for the house and ADU. As Brenda mentioned, that there are 2 cover parking provided for the main house. They're a little untraditional. They're tandem, and that's why they're going through a conditional use permit process. Per the state law, there's no parking requirement for any ADUs. So you're not looking at 3, but just 2. And also, will the cars be, sticking themselves into a driveway? Based on plans that we received, the tandem parking are 10 by 20, back to back. So there's enough garage space to house the 2 tandem parking. They should not be sticking out onto the driveway. There are questions about privacy, minimum setback, and how close is it to the neighboring properties. As Brent mentioned, this is an infill lot. Again, the reason that we're going through a conditional use permit, there is a provision in a zoning code that allows the minimum setback for the main house to be reduced based on the lot width. So code requires 10% of the lot width to be the minimum setback for the main house, which is roughly about 4 feet from the property line to the exterior wall. And that coincides with the minimum 4 feet for all the ADUs. It's a little unusual to see in a new house that's combined with the ADU, especially when the state law says that, we really cannot apply any discretionary approval for that ADU. But for a complete packaging reason, staff decided to include that on the plan so that Planning Commission can see the total package that's being presented. There are also questions that talk about the current construction on the street with a new water meter and a new sewer connection. Given that this is a brand new house, there's going to be a certain amount of sizing up to accommodate utility. So if there's any additional questions, we can definitely look into that. There's also another questions on the sidewalk. Currently, the sidewalk is severely damaged. As building up and also redeveloping this vacant lot, the entire frontage sidewalk will be redeveloped to comply with the city standard to make sure that there is no trip hazard and to make sure that they have also a beautiful sidewalk. And there's also likely questions on whether or not there's going to be any city trees on Garden Avenue. So right now, the applicant has proposed to install one, I can't remember the type of a tree, but in the front, not necessarily within the public right-of-way, but will be within the front setback area. And that city tree, Public Works and also Community Services may look into the adequate type and adequate species, so that's not out of the sort. Lastly, there are questions about construction hours. I will leave that to Brendan. I can't remember the exact hours, but Brendan, go ahead and elaborate.
So the construction hours, I believe, according to the noise ordinance, is between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m., but we would have to double check with the building department to clarify that. And about the tree that is proposed to be planted in the front yard is a Raphiolepis India Hawthorn Majestic Beauty.
Sounds pretty. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sorry, I do have one other thing. My apologies. I meant to say that the Architecture Review Committee did review this last month and requested the applicant to make some changes to the front facade columns, which they did make changes to the style of the columns, which I believe is in the packet, to be wider at the base and thinner at the top to add more detail.
Okay, thank you very much, Brandon. Does anyone have any further questions for staff? Commissioner Medlin.
Just a suggestion, not really a question. It looks like we have 15 to 20 people watching this outside of the council. I think it would be really beneficial if there was graphics or something on the screen that they could look at to kind of understand what you're talking about on a lot of these things. Is that possible? I don't know if anyone else is seeing the packet on the screen, but I'm not. I think it would be very helpful for people to kind of follow along when you're speaking.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Madam, great feedback. Brendan, if you have the plans available, go ahead and share the screen.
So this is the revised color board for the house with the updated columns and materials.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, they made the changes I suggested, so I'm happy with that. I just mean in general, as you're presenting, I'm not saying you need to go into super detail like we do with the ARC meetings, but, you know, showing like the photos and the graphics portions of that, I think can be helpful as you're speaking, because maybe a lot of people in the audience have no idea what this is. So, thank you.
All right.
Through the chair, there was a request to do something with the blank wall to the right of the front door. I think that was your suggestion, Chair.
Yeah, I was looking at that thinking that there was something missing there, but I don't recall what our conversation.
I think you were suggesting maybe a different surface or something to break that blank wall.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, that was part of the discussion, but it was not moved forward in the resolution.
Okay.
I believe there was additional conversation about it being the turn in the staircase.
Yeah.
So we did. It was discussed at length, but not put in the resolution.
Okay.
Or the recommendation. Sorry.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. Was there anyone else that had a question or comment? Okay. So we're going to open it up to the public. Is the applicant with us?
Yes, I believe the applicant is in the room.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak to the commission?
Hello. Good evening. This is Andrea Costanzo. I'm the designer of this project. No, I want to say that, yeah, we make the changes on the columns. And also, one of the questions I think it was also left on the last meeting was about the porch encroachment on the setback. And Brandon clarified with me also that the porch could go up to 3 feet to a property line, right? That's what Brandon helped me on this. But yeah, I can hear you. But
it can encroach within 6 feet forward of the. Yeah, so it could be up to 9 feet from the property line.
Okay, so because of the shape of the lot, we don't have that problem. So just I wanted to mention that we're not, that's not an issue on our project. But other than that, we try to work and make the changes. I know that that's a blank wall, but also I was thinking maybe that could be a possible space to have bench or something that the future person that will leave their family can use. So it's not going to be. It looks really blank now, but it could have plants or something that it can improve that corner. But other than that, I don't have any other questions or comments.
Any questions from the commissioners for the architect?
No, just through the chair, comment. It's nice to see a nice structure going into a vacant lot. I mean, it's probably been an eyesore there for quite a while, so it's a welcome addition.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? I do have one question. Is this the family that was living there previously before the fire, or have they sold it? This is new folks?
New homeowners.
New homeowner. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Are there any more questions from the commission? Okay. Madeline, are there any folks with their hands raised?
Yes, we do have one speaker.
All right. May we have them, please?
Alejandra, can you hear us?
Yes. Is this only for San Bruno or for any other parts? Like in the, wait, give me 1 second. Like, is it like in the, I mean, like suburbs or, cause I keep on hearing people about like, you know, making comments about like what they expect.
I'm not quite sure I follow your question.
I'm sorry. I just want to know, like, I'm just listening about like what people expect, like, you know, in the areas that they live in. I mean, is this only like in the suburbs or Upper San Bruno or Lower San Bruno?
We're talking about this house only right now. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Just one house.
Yes, just this one particular.
Oh, okay. Just that one house. Okay. Yeah, then never mind. Okay. So never mind.
Okay, very good. Thank you for joining us. Okay, were there any others, Madeline?
No, Chair. There are no other speakers.
All right. Could we get a motion to close the public hearing then? Someone?
I make a motion we close the public hearing.
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please, to close the public hearing?
Chair Biasotti?
Aye.
Vice Chair Harmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Madden?
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan?
Aye.
All right. So let's move it back to the commission. And is there any more comments or questions about this, or would someone like to make a motion in a second?
I'm happy to make a motion if there are no other comments. I move the Planning Commission approve architectural review permit AR 21-001 and use permit 20-006 and approval for basic findings 1 through 6 and conditions of approval 1 through 25.
Second.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Chair Biasotti?
Aye.
Vice Chair Harmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Madden?
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan?
Aye.
5-0, motion passes.
Very good. Thank you. And I believe there's a 10-day appeal period for that, too. All right. Now we will move on to 510 Angus. And I'm going to have to say goodbye. And Commissioner Harmon, if you would be so kind as to...
No, this is the 510 Angus is the one where I'm out.
Wait.
That's correct. That is
So
correct.
I need to bring Commissioner Lithen back in and move
All right.
Vice Chair Harmon out.
Okay.
Musical chairs.
There you go. Sorry about that.
I would just say that it sounds like there's a few people that want to comment on this project. So again, if we could see kind of some graphics or something as the person's talking, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right. Kelly, would you mind leading this portion of the meeting? Because I'm going to have to jump out.
Yes, that sounds just fine. Just bear with me because I'm rusty now.
You're muted, Kelly.
You're on mute, Kelly.
Told you I was rusty. Okay, sorry about that. Item 4C, 510 Angus Avenue, second story addition. And I just wanted to note for the speakers who've been trying to speak on, it sounds like either a specific item or an item that is not listed on the agenda. I want to encourage them, if they can go to the city website and look at the agenda, it will be much clearer to them what items we're talking about tonight that are scheduled to be talked about. And then if there's something that's not on there they'd like to say, then they wait until the second option for the public to speak on items that aren't on the agenda. So just wanted to clarify that for them. but regarding 4C, we're ready for staff report.
All right, thank you. Can everyone see the plans on the screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so the project before you is a proposal to add a 766 square foot second floor addition to an existing single family home located at 510 Angus Avenue. The new addition would add 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and an open media room to the home. The addition would increase the height of the home by 6 feet 9 inches, measured to its highest point. If approved and constructed, the new home would have 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, an office, a media room, and a great room consisting of kitchen, dining, and living areas in 2,505 square feet of habitable area and 2,961 square feet of gross floor area, which includes the detached garage. The project utilizes materials and a design which match the style of the existing home, which was extensively remodeled in 2016 with a 537 square foot horizontal addition, which at that time added 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom to the home. The project requires a use permit to exceed the maximum permitted floor area for the lot by 211 square feet, and it requires the use permit for a 50% cumulative expansion to the home, which is combined with the 2016 addition. The subject property is located on the southeast corner of Angus and 4th Avenues in the Bel Air neighborhood between 4th and 5th Avenues. The subject lot measures 5,000 square feet and is currently improved with an existing single-family home that was constructed in 1947. The existing home has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a living room, and a dining room in 1,569 square feet of habitable floor area, with an existing 456 square foot detached tandem 2-car garage. The Architectural Review Committee reviewed the project in April. The discussion at the Architectural Review Committee surrounded inconsistencies in the plans related to exterior window placement. The architect has revised the plans to address those comments, and so those are reflected in the plans that you have before you on the screen. No neighbors commented on the project at ARC, and the ARC approved the project or forwarded the project to the Planning Commission on a vote of 3-0. For this meeting, notices were mailed to property owners within 300 feet, but no public comment was received. An error was found in the notice, and a second notice was sent out, I think a day later. So there were 2 notices actually sent for this. The project qualifies for a CEQA exemption. Staff is recommending approval of the project at this time based on the findings and conditions of approval on the staff report, and for the following reasons. The project proposed a 0.59 FAR, which is within the range of other projects that have been approved by the Commission. It complies with the residential design guidelines in the following ways. The massing of the second floor is stepped back in from the sides of the building, but is integrated into the overall design with a sloped roof. And the proposed second floor addition would continue the craftsman architectural style that was already established with the 2016 addition to the home. And it includes such details as scalloped shingles, horizontal siding, robust trim, and a gabled roof. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Michael. Does the Commission have any questions for staff? Okay, sounds like not. Let's see, I think if I'm not mistaken, we now can invite the applicant to share some about their project.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sandra Jimenez, and I'm the designer of the project located at 510 Angus Avenue East. My client, Mr. Ayar, purchased the home in 2016. Shortly after the purchase, plans were submitted for a rear addition and facade changes. We knew at the time of the approved 2016 addition that to add to the home, a use permit would be needed. I was contacted by Mr. Ayar in June 2020, requesting that I inquire about a second-story addition and how much they could add. After inquiring with the planning department, I was told that based on the original addition, we could exceed the 50% threshold but would require a use permit. When designing the second story, I wanted to make sure that the overall mass would appear smaller than designed. I brought all the second story walls approximately 2 feet or more from the exterior first floor walls and created the roof line to have several small gables. The same materials of the existing home and colors will be added to the addition. Overall, I believe the design of the second-story addition appears as though it always belonged to the existing home. Because the mass of the addition appears small, it will not overpower some of the small single-story homes on the block, nor will it create any shadows in adjacent properties. Finally, the design aesthetics will continue to blend with the existing neighborhood. The design has limited visual impact, is aesthetically pleasing, and is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. I believe that it should be approved. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Sandra. Does the Commission have any questions for the applicant? No. Okay. Well, thank you, Sandra, for your presentation. We appreciate it. And we will go ahead and move into a time of the public hearing, public comment. And we will open the floor to see if there's anybody from the public who would like to speak on this item 4C, which is for 510 Angus Avenue.
We do have a speaker.
Okay, great.
Alejandra, I'm going to open the microphone.
Thank you. Thank you. So I live in the 600 block of Angus. So if you guys want to, make, another, just like, build more up, to your house they already have. But then again, I heard that you guys want to make a boutique hotel.
There is an item on the agenda, Alejandra, that is for a boutique hotel, but it is not at this address. The boutique hotel is actually the next item that the Commission is going to address. That's item 4D, and that's at 160 El Camino Real. It's currently an undeveloped lot. So the address at
okay.
Yeah, the address at 510 Angus Avenue is just for a second-story addition on a residential.
Oh, I thought that was probably going to be on the same address. So never mind. I thought it was going to be on the same address.
Okay, well, stick around because you can have a nice staff report on the hotel, but it's south of you guys. It's down.
Okay, so there's not going to be any boutique hotel being built on the East Angus Avenues.
Correct. The address,
okay,
you can Google it. The address for the boutique hotel is at 160 El Camino Real.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Good. Yes, thank you for joining us. Okay. Madeline, do we have any other public comments?
Yes, we do. V. Juarez, can you hear us?
Hello, yeah. My name is Veronica Juarez, and the reason I'm calling is probably to provide some color as to why you hear Alejandra and Cristina and myself on the call. We actually have a document that says that the boutique hotel is going to be on 510 Angus, and so that's what's causing the confusion. I just wanted to provide some context as to why you're hearing us here, and I think that's why there is confusion on the call. So now it's been pretty clear. I'm happy to share with you just where we got this information, but it clearly says notice of Planning Commission public hearing today at 7 p.m. And it says the PA number is UP20005, and it says location 510 Angus Avenue East. So it caught us all by surprise, and that's why we're kind of all like, this doesn't make any sense, but I'm really appreciative that you were able to put the renderings on the Zoom, and so it made it incredibly clear that that is not at this location. It's not the project being described on the paper we all have probably in our hand.
Right. No, it sounds that's very clarifying. Thank you. Maybe staff has an idea for an explanation. explanation for the confusion. Sounds like
Sure.
maybe the mailer, maybe the addresses were switched on the agenda items?
That's correct. So some of the language, I was sending out 2 notices that day, and some of the language for the hotel made it into the notice for the 510 Angus. And so that's why a separate notice was sent a day later to correct that.
I see. I hope that Veronica and Alejandra, I hope
Probably a lot of others on the call are like, oh, now that we see the pictures, this makes a lot of sense. So thank you so much for taking the comment, and actually the recommendation of sharing the pictures. It's incredibly helpful.
Okay, good. Well, I apologize for the mix-up, and I'm wondering if you did receive two different notices from the city that with a correction.
I don't recall getting the second notice, which is why we're all on this call. But as mail goes, I don't know. I don't recall getting the second notice.
Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying.
No problem.
Yeah, we can make clear to any of the other callers that yes, at 510 Angus Avenue, we are talking about a residential second-story addition only, and the hotel is at 160 El Camino Real. I hope that's helpful. In light of that, Madeline, maybe you'll see our numbers shift on the comment section.
We do have one more person.
Okay, great.
Christina, can you hear us?
Yes, just to piggyback on what Veronica and Alejandra said, just seeing the clear picture and saying, oh, this is what's going on, and the mail notice that went out was wrong. But I also wanted to see if maybe in the future when sending out mailers like this, instead of limiting to 300 square feet, 300 feet, if you guys could possibly open it a little bit more, and then also include Spanish. There is a lot of Spanish-speaking folks down here. There's some also other languages spoken within our community. So maybe looking into or taking maybe a survey of what community members, what their language is, and sending out maybe 2 more languages just so they know what's going on. I myself have sent out surveys, and a lot of people don't really respond, or they don't look at it. They take it as junk mail and throw it out. So maybe that's why no neighbors took the time to respond on what's going on. So maybe if there's something else that you guys can come up with and just help the community a little bit more so that they're aware of what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, it's important to consider inclusivity and to make sure that we are soliciting the kind of feedback we want from our community. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll ask staff to look at feasibility of doing something just like you said.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. I appreciate it. Okay. Madeline, do you have any other speakers from the public?
We do not.
Okay. In that case, we can do a roll call vote to close the public hearing.
Chair Biasotti?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Lifton?
Aye.
Commissioner Madden?
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you, Madeline.
You're welcome.
We'll bring it back.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Oh, sorry?
I just said thank you, Commissioners.
Oh, thank you, Sandra. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too. We will go ahead and bring this back to the Commission to see if there's any further questions or discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Lifton, if I can just address the Commission on the questions on the noticing and also translation. I'll certainly bring it up to City Council and also City Manager's attention, but just so you know, the 300 feet is mandated by the state law. There will be additional costs associated with pushing it at 500 feet or 700 feet or 1,000 feet. Right now, all of the cost associated with mailing, the printing, the postage is coming out of general fund. So that is quite a bit of a cost sending out. I can't remember the number of notices that were sent out for each project. So just want to put it out there. In terms of translation services, the city doesn't really have that right now, but which doesn't mean that it cannot be done. Again, so we're looking at additional costs to accommodate, other translation. So we'll certainly, forward the comments from the public to the city council, especially city manager, for their consideration. Just want to let you know.
Great, thank you. I appreciate your pushing that forward to city council and to the city manager's office. So, perfect. So let's see here. So do we have any questions or motions, comments for item 4C?
Through the chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve a use permit number 20-005 based on findings 1 to 3 and conditions 1 to 23 for 510 Angus Avenue.
Great, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Mary Lou, thank you for your second. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Chair Biasotti?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Lethen?
Aye.
Commissioner Madden?
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan?
Aye.
5-0, motion passes.
Great, thank you. There is a 30-day appeal period, and very best of luck on your project. And I guess now we can close at 4C and head on to 4D, and I guess we can...
This is where I need to jump out. I jumped out too soon on the last one.
Okay.
I need to recuse myself on this one.
Great, I'll be moving Chair Biasotti out and bringing
Thank
Vice
you,
Chair Harmon back in.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome back, and I think I'm going to pass the
torch, the baton.
to Vice Chair Harmon.
All right, so agenda item number 4D, this is our boutique hotel. They request for an architectural review permit and use permit to construct a 3-story hotel with 28 guest rooms and basement parking. And I think we need a staff report. Is that Michael? Are you speaking, Michael? You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Bear with me a moment. I'm trying to get the plans up on the screen so that everyone can see it as I'm doing my presentation. Just toggling between different screens, so I'll be with you in a moment.
I am so looking forward to being back in the senior center.
All right. Okay, I think I got it. Do a little share screen. Okay, can you guys all see that? Great. All right. Okay, so the project before you tonight is the proposed hotel at 160 El Camino Real. This is proposing to construct a 50-foot tall, 3-story, approximately 19,107 square foot boutique hotel that would provide 28 guest rooms. The first floor will be dedicated to guest amenity space, which includes a lobby, lounge, and bar areas, and hotel operations, a front desk, administrative office, mechanical and electrical rooms, etc. Guest rooms would be located on the second and third floors. 22 parking spaces are proposed within the basement garage, some in mechanical parking stackers. All parking would be valet. Once operational, the proposed hotel is anticipated to have a total of 17 employees. The project requires an architectural review permit and a use permit pursuant to the previous zoning code and must receive final approvals by September 1st, 2021, pursuant to Section 6 of Ordinance Number 2021-1898. This is the ordinance that you guys recently passed that amended Chapter 12 of the San Bruno Municipal Code. In it states that applications deemed complete prior to the ordinance's effective date of 4/9/2021 may elect to use the standards and regulations of the previous ordinance, so long as the final approvals are obtained by September 1st, 2021. As such, the applicant has elected to utilize the standards and regulations of the previous zoning code. The project site is located on the southeast corner of the intersection of El Camino Real and San Luis Avenue, along a heavily urbanized portion of the El Camino Real corridor. The project site measures 9,811 square feet, or 0.22 acres. The site is rectangular and is currently vacant and undeveloped. It's covered in grass and dirt and enclosed by a chain link fencing. The subject site was formerly occupied by an auto repair shop, gas station, ceramics store, and carpet store. Vehicle access to the project site would be provided via a right turn in and right turn out driveway on El Camino Real at the southern corner of the project site. The driveway would connect to a small surface parking lot / drop-off area for passenger loading. 2 motorcycle spaces are also located there, and one of those spaces would be an accessible parking stall or drop-off space. Hotel guests would enter the site from El Camino Real and park their cars in that drop-off zone before being valeted down the ramp to the below-grade mechanical parking only garage. As far as for the secret review for this project, a draft initial study and mitigated neg deck has been prepared for the project and have been released for public comment. The public comment review period for the document was from March 15, 2021 to April 16, 2021. The initial study, mitigated negative declaration, and mitigation monitoring and reporting program, or also known as MMRP, are attached to the staff report for commission consideration with the project approvals. The initial study, mitigated neg deck, found impacts in the following areas would be potentially significant, but would be reduced to a less than significant level by implementation of the recommended mitigation measures. And this was in the areas of air quality, cultural resources, geology and soils, hazards and hazardous materials, and noise. The mitigation monitoring and reporting program is incorporated into the commission resolution before you tonight for approval and the conditions of approval for the project. During the circulation of the initial study mitigated negative declarations, staff received one comment from Caltrans on the project. That letter and our response is included with the staff report after the document. So a little bit about the project itself and this handsome-looking hotel. The proposed building is oriented with its primary elevation and entrance facing El Camino Real and its secondary elevation facing San Luis Avenue. There's a 10-foot ground floor setback is incorporated into the El Camino Real elevation, and a 10-foot setback is incorporated into the north side elevation facing San Luis Avenue. It should be noted here that the upper floors project 5 feet over the ground floor setback along El Camino Real, leaving 5 foot of setback that's actually open to the sky above. The rear elevation would be obscured by the adjacent apartment building, but is architecturally treated with windows and the same multicolored composite panels that are found on the front elevation. The right side elevation would be partially concealed by the adjacent 2-story commercial building, but is also architecturally treated with different colored composite panels to add visual interest. The El Camino Real setback provides a nice wide sidewalk, which combined with the upper floor overhangs created a nice defined protected pedestrian roam in front of the building. The setback on San Luis Avenue provides a substantial location for landscape while pulling the building back from the corner to protect sight lines and provide transition to the adjacent residential neighborhood to the east. Guests arriving by passenger vehicle would enter and exit via the one driveway. The driveway location is preferred because it is located the furthest point from the street corner with San Luis Avenue. So vehicles would have the ability to enter and exit the site in a forward position. Vehicles would never back out into El Camino Real from the site. Valets would be responsible for assisting guests to ensure vehicles are positioned to exit the site in a forward position. The applicant has also requested a passenger loading zone on El Camino Real, which would facilitate guests arriving and leaving the hotel. A little bit about the massing and scale of the building. The project site is shallow but wide and has approximately 145 feet of frontage on El Camino Real. Additional architectural treatment has been incorporated so that the proposed building provides adequate design articulation and does not appear overly wide. The design adeptly addresses the excessive site width by creating a rhythm of large bays on the upper facade that are accentuated by panels with darker wood veneer finish, which makes the bays stand out against the neutral earth tone panels that form the base of the building. In addition, the bays are wider than normal and accompanied by a change in roof line. Along El Camino Real, the upper floors project over the ground floor wall to create shadows and add depth to the facade. The use of color, scale, change in massing, and change in the roof line add architectural massing, articulate the building form to reduce its scale, making it compatible with the scale of buildings nearby. Exterior materials, the building would be clad primarily in fiber cement panels and anodized aluminum metal accents and anodized aluminum commercial grade windows. Although these materials are not commonly found in the commercial corridor of El Camino Real, staff believes the proposed materials are compatible with the mostly stucco buildings because they have a smooth finish and low sheen. Building facade design, the highest level of architectural treatment has been applied to the primary and secondary elevations and are represented by changes in material, changes in wall plane, and variation in roof line and height treatment. Aluminum fins frame the upper floor bays and add additional shadow to the elevation. The ground floor maximizes the use of transparent windows to provide pedestrian views into the hotel lobby. And the building base is defined by a series of bays framed by columns that add visual interest and rhythm to the pedestrian realm. The different architectural treatment is used to define the primary entrance at the corner of the building. And brise-soleil type awnings are used to further define the pedestrian realm. Landscape is proposed for three sides of the property, the northwest and east sides. The landscape on El Camino Real frontage would consist of precast concrete low planter seat walls located at the back edge of the sidewalk to frame the pedestrian realm and make it more inviting. Decorative cobble is proposed for the south side of the building and an area between the buildings that is too small for a meaningful landscape. A biofiltration planter is proposed at the northwest corner of the site to capture stormwater runoff, and a variety of gray and beige color pavers are proposed for the primary entrance and the entry driveway to emphasize the entrance points to the building. And then lastly, 4 new Brisbane box street trees are proposed along the El Camino Real frontage. And 1 tree is proposed for the San Luis Avenue frontage. A little bit about the parking. So the parking ordinance does not specifically list a hotel as a defined use and provide a parking requirement for that use. So what it does allow is for the community development director to find the right point for the parking for hotels, and that is done by commissioning a parking demand study, which in this case was prepared by Hexagon, and that study looked at other boutiques, which is generally smaller hotels along the peninsula, and what they found was that so our old code had a parking ratio of 1:1, which is 1 parking space per room. But what they found was that 0.75 spaces per room would be adequate for this type of use. The actual project proposes 0.82 parking spaces per guest room, so it's actually higher than what was recommended in the parking study. And as I said earlier, the project requires or is seeking a off-site loading zone that would be located in front of the property on El Camino Real. And that is because the site, being at only 9,811 square feet, it was too small to actually provide the type of loading zone that is required by the codes. So they're seeking to put that off-site. And that application has already been reviewed by the TSPC. And they for approval. The project was reviewed by the Architectural Review Committee in April and forwarded unanimously to the Planning Commission for approval. The discussion at the Architectural Review Committee centered around driver sight lines exiting the driveway onto El Camino Real and the potential for vehicle queuing on El Camino Real when entering the driveway. Public hearing notices were sent to owners of property within 300 feet of the subject property, and staff didn't receive any public comment. The project complies with the findings for granting a use permit and architectural review permit as described in the staff report. So therefore, staff is recommending approval of the project via the resolution attached to the staff report. This would be done via a roll call vote. This concludes my presentation for tonight on the project, but I do want to let you know that we have the project applicant, project architect, and many of the folks that were instrumental in doing some of the background work and the environmental work to bring this project forward for your review tonight. We do have them here with us to answer any questions if you have them. And so this concludes my presentation.
Thank you. So I think we get a round of questions from commissioners before moving on to the presentation from the project presenters. Do we have any? Commissioner Madden.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to point out in the packet that was sent, there's a page in there that covers the concerns I had. It's page 243 of the PDF, page 130 of the report. And basically what it recommends is that about where you see that white car in the rendering, that the curb would be painted red to facilitate sight lines to oncoming traffic. So I was happy to see that, and I just wanted to make sure that those conditions of approval on that page are implemented when the project's moving forward. I don't think it's a requirement for the architect, but more for the city plan or the city traffic engineers who do that kind of red zones. It sounds like we're going to have a white zone as well, Michael, in the front for offloading. Is that what where the other two cars in the rendering are shown? Is that correct?
Yeah, so that area in the rendering would be a commercial loading zone. Okay.
And then just the other thing, since I'm kind of new to the commission here, I kind of notice things more as I drive around the city. And I know we have a couple of other hotels similar to this scale and size on El Camino. And I think this one is clearly a step above all of those as far as the way it looks. I think it's a really nice looking building, and the architect did a very good job. That's all I've got.
Do we have any other questions? Looks like not. I also was on that architectural review, and I agree. I really like it's a very attractive project. Shall we move on to comments from the project creators?
Robert, will you be doing a presentation tonight?
I'm sorry, I was looking for the unmute button. Yes, we have a short presentation, and I'd be happy to give that. Michael, thanks for the very thorough presentation in your staff report. and recognizing that some of the commissioners are also on the Architectural Review Board and have seen this, I'll be happy to present it again, and I can make it short and leave enough time for questions. But it's at the will of the Planning Commission. I can run through that again, or just let you know that I'm available for questions. Nicole Thompson, who's with RYS and working with me on the project, is also available, as well as Alex Pinn with the ownership group, and Gary Black with Hexagon Transportation Consultants is also available. So at your will, I can run through it, or we can just go straight into questions.
I guess I'll ask for those of you that were not in the ARC, I'm guessing you would appreciate seeing this. Is that, or do you? Yeah, let's go ahead and run through the presentation then.
Okay, so Michael, to share our screen.
There should be a share. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Okay. All right, so just for some site context, this is northbound El Camino Real. Our site is about in the middle of this photograph where you see that blue food truck. So currently, as Michael said, it's a vacant site, and in the past it's been a gas station, service station, some retail shops, but currently vacant. So the hotel is going to fill this missing tooth along this stretch of El Camino Real, and the sale of the new hotel is in keeping with the existing character of the surrounding development. And, this is looking southbound on El Camino Real. We're right about in the middle there. So along the bottom is El Camino Real, and we have stepped back the ground floor 10 feet back from the property line to be in keeping with the spirit of the El Camino Real Grand Boulevard Initiative. Our vehicular access in this plan, you can see, is at the bottom right of the plan, and that leads you into a grade level area where there's 2 spaces for passenger drop-off and queuing. One of those is accessible because that's required by ADA and by California building code for passenger drop-off areas for hotels. So it is accessible, but it's not a dedicated accessible space. So anyone can drop a car off there, whether they need the accessible access or not. So we've got 2 spaces there, also some bicycle parking storage in those corners, and then the ramp down to the garage. The pedestrian access is on the lower left corner at that area. And around the perimeter, as Michael described, we do have landscaping on El Camino Real, San Luis, and then on the top of the plan facing the adjacent multifamily. And the plant material has been selected to be low water use, need minimal maintenance to maintain their size, and provide shading and screening. So our 3-story hotel is consistent in height and use with the hotels, motels, and multifamily housing in the immediate vicinity. And we have chosen the materials, as Michael has already described, to be compatible, but we're also very conscious of being a forward direction looking addition to this stretch of El Camino Real, looking to the future, but blending in with what's around us. And these are some building envelope views. You can see the lower right is from the corner of El Camino Real and San Luis. The upper left is San Luis, looking at the side that faces the adjacent multifamily development. Next image. Then our color and materials board. We have selected the fiber cement panels with complementary colors selected for the longevity of cement fiber and also variation in materials and incorporation of our solar shading elements. So that's a very quick run through of our presentation. So I just want to say that we're available for any questions, and I want to also say that Alex Pinn, the owner's representative for the ownership group, and RS Architects, we've reviewed the mitigation measures and conditions of approval, and the owners agree to implement all the conditions of approval. So we're available for questions. We do have Gary with us, Gary Black of Hexagon Transportation Engineers, to address any questions about the parking or anything that you may want related to that.
All right, thank you. You'll have to remind me, I haven't done the chairing very often. Do we want to do questions from the Commission for the applicant here, or should we take the rest of other public comments?
Vice Chair Harmon, you can do both if you would like to take questions from your commissioners, and staff is here to answer some, and then you can do that again if you want.
Okay, let's take questions from the Commission or the applicant at this time.
Through the chair, I have no questions as such, but just to add, I think it's beautiful design, and it's a welcome addition to a space that's been an eyesore for many years there. I think it'd be a great addition, and I'm glad to see the denture being filled, the empty tooth space.
Did I see a hand from Commissioner Lethen?
Yes. Thank you. Just because we have the transportation expert available to us, I am curious. As I was reading through the plans, I was visualizing as guests enter the garage in the parking zone. If they do want to exit and not have their car valeted, I just wanted to confirm they would be able to back up within that garage entry space so that they are able to head out in a forward-facing direction. I just want to make sure I understand that that is correct, and if there's anything else I should know about maneuvering about.
Yes, Commissioner. Gary Black with Hexagon Transportation Consultants, and whoever's running the video is now showing the backup maneuvers that we tested to make sure that vehicles would be able to do exactly that you just mentioned. They'd be able to back up within the site and head out forward without the necessity of backing onto El Camino. And the particular one that's on the screen now is a Chevy Suburban, so that's a very large vehicle. And we were able to confirm that even those large vehicles would be able to make that maneuver.
Good. That's encouraging. I used to drive an '86 Chevy Suburban myself, so it's good to know that can move around in there.
All right, I'm not seeing any other hands. Do we have anyone from the public that wanted to comment?
We do not, Vice Chair.
All right. In that case, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Michael, can I just ask, will we still be able to respond to questions after the public hearing's closed?
Oh, should we take the responses then? Or?
Vice Chair, the applicant and the consultant team will still be able to provide any responses and follow-up after the public hearing is closed.
I think Mary Lou was attempting to make a motion but was on mute.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All right, roll call vote.
Vice Chair Harmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Lethen?
Aye.
Commissioner Madden?
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan?
Aye.
5-0, motion passes.
Right. I guess we return for any final comments from the commission, or if we, I'm not sure if there was anything left that the applicant wanted to comment on in relation to what we had discussed.
Michael, if I may, this is Bob. Just wanted to clarify that the space on El Camino Real that we've applied to the Traffic Safety and Parking Commission for, that they've approved, is the commercial loading space. So that's a yellow curb. I think someone said white curb, but that's a yellow commercial loading space.
Through the chair, just a comment to the applicants. It's interesting that your color scheme actually matches the real estate office across the street. It has almost, other than their trim is burgundy, but your color palettes are the same. Just a point of interest.
Well, we do try to be compatible with the surroundings.
In relation to the yellow, is the intention of this commercial loading zone, this is where, you know, if somebody is being brought by like a lift or something, they would be able to be dropped off there?
Yes, what we've worked out in the hours of operation is that it is commercial loading from, if I remember right, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. But if that's not occupied, then that does provide another opportunity for the rideshare service to drop them off there if there's no commercial vehicle there.
So with the commercial loading, you're thinking of like delivering supplies, you know, the truck that's going to bring, you know, toilet paper or whatever it is that a hotel needs.
Correct. And then in the evenings, that space is available for parking for anyone to use.
All right. Do we have any other further comments? I'm not observing any hands. Do we want to make a motion?
I do have another question.
Okay.
You're talking about, so all commercial loading and unloading will be done in the front of the hotel.
That's correct.
And there's no opportunity for it to be done on the side. I can't quite remember what the side would be like if they were to park on the side and make that a yellow on the San Felipe. I think it's San Felipe. If that was yellow, and then San Luis. That's right, San Luis. And if that became, because I'm not seeing it in front of me right this moment, I can pull up mine. And could that be a loading zone? And they can hand truck it down to their opening. Thank you for putting that back up. And so if they were to unload, where do they come in? Do they go down the pathway down where the traffic comes in and out of the parking? Or obviously, I don't think they go through the front door.
Yes, they can go through the front door, and that's not unusual for a small boutique hotel. And the reason that it is on El Camino Real was to, and we discussed this with city staff, because originally we had proposed it on San Luis, but that locating it on El Camino will enable delivery trucks to stay on El Camino Real. If we put it on San Luis Avenue, that's going to direct deliveries into the residential neighborhood beyond. So it was agreed by all of us that it makes more sense to have the loading on El Camino and avoid that truck traffic on San Luis Avenue.
That's an excellent point. And I guess for small boutique hotels, you're correct. That isn't unusual. I was just trying to, and more likely, they're going to make requests to deliver before a specific time and after a specific time.
Yes.
Not always.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and we're talking about probably small panel truck type deliveries. You know, we're not talking about very large semi-truck trailer rigs. You know, the typical deliveries for this small boutique hotel are going to be panel trucks.
Okay, thank you. I have no further comments.
How many yellow spaces would there be? Is it like, are we talking the entire length, like from tree 1 to tree 4, or is it just single space? Just trying to see if we can avoid any double parking situations. There's adequate yellow.
Yes, from the corner of San Luis Avenue going down El Camino, there's red curb for a certain distance already, and then beyond that, then we have our commercial loading space, and then we still have, I believe it's 3 more standard stalls before you get to the driveway going into the property.
So a truck could theoretically pull up the corner at San Luis and then reverse back in without blocking any traffic?
Yes, that's possible because it's red curb between the yellow zone and San Luis intersection corner. So, and also if they're coming on El Camino towards San Luis Avenue and park there, then they can just pull straight out through. You know, the red zone lets them have more traffic lane to get back on El Camino Real.
And can you remind me? I know there's a bar in here, but is there a restaurant? Or is it...
Yeah, it's a small cafe style. It's for guest use. This is not a destination restaurant. So it's a beverage bar and, you know, light food offerings.
So there would be like a daily food delivery or two. And is your housekeeping laundry facility off-site and that's delivered every day? Or is that on in-house?
Yeah, we have off-site laundry.
Okay, so we don't expect a ton of deliveries on a daily basis, maybe half a dozen at most. Is that a fair statement?
That's probably more than we'd have.
Okay. Okay.
Through the chair. It's just a thought here. When you say you have off-site laundry service, would you consider using a local laundry person in our or business in our community? Or do you have a specific system?
I don't know if that's been selected yet, and I don't know. Maybe Alex may want to respond to that.
No, we don't have a system in place yet, and we can definitely consider local business for service.
I would certainly appreciate that if they can use local services, just because it just would make sense to support our community.
Right.
There's going to be one practically across the street from you.
Okay.
Right, I am not seeing any more hands. Are we prepared to make a motion at this point?
Can we put the rendering again, the hotel rendering? There you go. Thank you. Thank you. I'm prepared to do a vote.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve an architectural review permit 18-004 and a use permit 18-019 based on findings 1 to 11 and conditions 1 to 180, and adoption of the initial study with mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program.
I'll second that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a couple of offers of second. We have a roll call vote.
Vice Chair Harmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Lethen?
Aye.
Commissioner Madden?
Aye.
Commissioner Morgan?
Aye.
5-0, motion passes.
All right. Thank you to staff and to the project presenters. And I guess we can get Chair Biasotti back in to take back over.
I will bring him back.
So Commissioner Harmon, would you like to finish up the meeting?
Sure, why not? All right, having dispensed with all of the items 4, it looks like, we are on to number 5, items from staff.
Thank you, Vice Chair Harmon. You're doing a beautiful job. Mr. Chair, you're training everyone. That's a part of the delegation. So while we're still doing in and out and trying to get everyone, at the right place, I want to thank everyone's patience tonight. As I kind of forecast the beginning of the year, this is what Planning Commission does, right? A lot of project coming through us and trying to provide valuable feedback, a lot of project that has been in a pipeline for some time. This is just the beginning. So we're bringing the boutique hotel that's been in the pipeline for some time. Next, you'll see the Glenview Terrace subdivision that's coming your way. And after that, you'll be seeing the Lease Buffet, finally the townhome development on 271 El Camino. There are just a long list of projects that are coming your way. So just wanted to give you a little preview. We're not going to bore you on these Tuesday nights anymore. So with that said, I want to see, so before I actually get to the ARC volunteers, I have a few other announcement that didn't make into the agenda. So the first one, on May 11th, City Council did appoint a new planning commissioner. Vice Chair Harmon kind of spilled my beans at the beginning of the agenda. This will be Planning Commissioner Marco Durazo. He's currently serving on the TSPC Commission. What I was informed by City Clerk is that he will be finishing his duties with TSPC early June and joining us officially during our June Planning Commission meeting. So with that said, I will also I'll provide the Planning Commission an updated Planning Commission roster, just so that you also will have the opportunity to get to know him and also have a city email and also some of the confidential personal contact if you wish to get in touch with him. The other update is also on May 11th, City Council adopted a revised Planning Commission bylaws. And part of the reason for that is because if you remember, we amended the zoning code earlier during the year. By doing so, we officially recognized the Architectural Review Committee as the Brown Act body, and also formalizing many actions that weren't part of the ARC purview through this amendment. So there's nothing that substantially changed the charter of Planning Commission. This will be just a cleanup to align with the new zoning code. I will also be sending the Planning Commission a revised copy of the bylaws so that you have a digital copy. Lastly, there is a Planning Commissioner training offered online via Zoom for about $199. It's a steal. It's kind of a 10-hour commitment to, become a better planning commissioner. So I'll pass that information on. Let me see. I think it's a series of 10 hours, so it goes on for quite some time. But we kind of need to know if anyone's interested, maybe in the next week or so. So I see a hand from Vice Chair.
I wanted to ask, who is this offered by? Is this one of the 21 Elements programs? Or
No, this is offered by Plan Zen. Yeah, it's one of the planning magazine kind of a thing, so they usually do a monthly subscription. It is not offered through the 21 Elements. We do have some budget to accommodate, given that, we really can't go anywhere for a conference this year, so we have quite a bit of saving. So I would like to offer that to the planning commissioner who are interested. It is a 10-hour commitment, so on top of what you're going through. So do let me know. I'll pass out the information to you. If you're interested, let me know. Lastly, question?
I was just going to say, like, definitely, I'm interested to get the details in my city email. I will, look at whether it fits in my schedule.
Not a problem. So lastly, this will be a call for the June 10th Architectural Review Committee volunteers.
I'm happy to volunteer.
Thank you.
I'll do it.
Okay, just need one more.
I am available.
All right, sounds good. Can I have a backup? Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. That's all I have. Thank you.
Pamela, may I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
You mentioned there's a lot of projects in the queue coming up. What does, like, these single-family homes that we review, once they turn those in, how long approximately does it take to get to the ARC once the city receives it? Are they waiting months for that to happen, or how long does it take?
Sure. So, for instance, tonight's project is a little different. It's a brand new house. So this one actually, I think, was submitted in January of this year. And ARC got to see it in April. Planning Commission took an action in May. I gotta say it's one of the fast turnaround for a project like that. About a year or so ago, a project of that sort was taking somewhere about 6 to 9 months. From the time the application was submitted and it goes through the review and then went to planning architectural review and also planning commission. Largely it's due to staffing resource. Right now it's not that I have more staff available. We have been relying more on the planning consultant for the larger projects so that we can better take care of the local residents, the mom and pop, if you will. So the typical turnaround time, more recently within the last 6 to 8 months or so, for say a 2,000 square feet addition, architectural review, a CUP, you're looking at about 4 to 5 months from the time they submit the application.
Okay, thank you.
All right. If there are any other comments from the commission, doesn't look like it. All right, then we would move on to whether there are any items from members or subcommittee reports. Does anyone have any items they wish to comment on from the commission?
If I may, Commissioner Harmon, we got items. Items public comment.
Oh, sorry, I skipped over 6. I was thinking I was aware we needed to do another public comment. I was thinking it was after this one. But okay, yes. Do we have any other anyone left in the attendees that wanted to submit a comment?
We do not have any speakers.
Just give that 30 seconds. Is it *9 if people are on the phone? Although I don't see any attendees on the phone, so maybe that doesn't matter. All right. Accidentally muted myself. Done with 6, and so we would have items from members. I did not see any hands. So in that case, we are adjourned. The next regular Planning Commission meeting will be held on June 15th, 2021 at 7 p.m.
Good night, everyone.